Assalamu alaikum students. In today's session, I will share with you the basic concepts of data warehousing. Data warehousing, data mining, these are very important topics that one should know about that. And there is a big research carried out data mining, data warehousing. So I just discuss with you the basic concepts. I will restrict myself only the basic concepts related to data warehousing. Why are they important and why the enterprises or organization prefer to have warehousing of the data. So we are not considering here in this session that how we have to implement this data warehousing in organizations, or how we have to go for structuring this one. Just we have to say that we will discuss what are the basic concepts of data warehousing and why are they important. So in the previous lecture, I discussed with you the transaction, business transaction concepts and how they are carried out using your relational database management systems, and how the SQL help you to manage those transactions. It might happen those transactions have been concurrently happening there because more than one user are using those at the same time. They're using the same table or the same records. So we have to look after how these things are happening, whether at the end of the transactions we have data that is inconsistent, and if it is the case, then how we have to address it, and how the SQL statements help you to deal with such aspects. So we also discussed the concept of logging and time stamping. So hoping that you have done some exercise in your lab, and you are doing that because I told you that whenever you initiate any command of the SQL command, basically you are doing some sort of transactions. And today session we concentrate on what does mean data warehousing, and I will share with you the basic concept of data warehousing. Further, a bit about what is the architecture of data warehousing, what are its main components. Further, the two concepts are very important. One is called OLTP, online transaction processing, and OLEP, online analytical processing. So we have to differentiate between the two, and just you can say if you are doing some sort of transactions, those are uh, routine in daily aspects. You are dealing with those transactions, routine transactions, or day to day. The systems those are dealing with, those are basically transaction processing systems, and we say this is OLTP systems. Whereas OLTP analytical processing, those are basically systems, those are the data warehousing, and within that we have to analyze the data, and different tools are used for data mining in order to for prediction, or see what are the patterns with the existing archive data, because within the warehouse you have to store archive data, might be for the last 10 years or 20 years, but it's very much restricted to some subject. So we have also discussed the benefits and the issues of the data warehousing. At the end, I will share with you what does mean data mart, what is independent data mart and dependent data marts, and what are their issues, and why the organization prefer to implement data marts. So this is the whole that we have to cover in this lecture. Let me start with the definition and what does mean a data warehouse. And this is one of the person from IBM. He defined, I have to reiterate his words, that data warehouse is simply a single, complete, consistent store of data obtained from a variety of sources. and made available to the end user in a way they can understand and use it in a business context. So just to say that is the repository, and we say that this repository must have some sort of data that should be consistency data, and it is obtained from different resources. And when we collect this from different resources, might be this is heterogeneous resources from where we're collecting the data, but we have to transform it in the very beginning before loading it into the data warehouse. And further, its access is given to the users, so they have to do some queries. The queries with the data warehouse are more complex as compared to OLTP. So the organization may benefit from that because they have analysis of the data, and they make some sort of better decisions. So this concept was first devised by the IBM, but it was named as information warehouse. And although it not got popularity at that moment, it's not popular. However, it was a good concept, and that now it have the popularity and gained the popularity for that. So if we define that, we only say the central repository of integrated data from one or more different resources, because we have to collect the data on any single subject from various resources. And so might be data maybe in different formats. So prior to developing this data warehouse, we have to streamline that data. We have to transform that data, that format should be consistent with all the data. So because we are collecting that data in a single repository. Further, this repository contains data that is historic data, archive data, because the OLTP systems, they basically are dealing with the transactions. Those are of daily routine, and whereas in the data warehousing, we have the data that is archived data for the previous years. So data warehousing generalize and consolidate data and in a multi-dimensional space. We have multi-dimensional tables with the data warehouse. We will discuss that with the architecture of that. So the basic concept how the data should be loaded to the data warehouse, and the processes that is called extraction, transformation, and loading. That is called ETL. In the very beginning, we have to extract the data from different resources, and might be this is have different formats, so it should be transformed in a single format. So we have to transform that data. After that, it should be loaded. So these processes called ETL, and they are basically used to populate the data in a data warehouse. So aggregated transaction data is then transformed and stored in analytical purposes. Because with the data warehouses, we mostly use aggregated data, summarized data, and that may be stored there in different dimensions, multiple dimensions. So after that, we have to make some sort of queries in order to get the needed data that might be use some sort of tools for the analysis, because the data mining, they are using different tools when they collect the data from data warehouse, and for prediction, for pattern matching, or analysis of the patterns, and so association of the things, they're basically used for that. So the data warehousing are used for online analytical processing. We have to analyze the data, and just not to process only. So this is more important when the managers have to make some sort of decision regarding predicting something or having some sort of patterns or association. They have to see within the previous data, the past data, you can see. So I have to discuss with you what does mean OLTP and what does mean OLAP. So if you are managing some data with the daily transactions, for example, you are doing daily transaction in the banking system and other systems also, there is some sort of that is the suppliers and the customers, they have some sort of transactions daily in routine. So we have to store that data, and the system those are used for storing and retrieving that data. So and so those are basically OLTP, online transaction processing systems. So they basically focused on simple queries. Most they are querying the data. So online transaction and query processing are carried out by operational database management systems. And we also call these are the operational systems. And this is called OLTP. Whereas when we consider OLAP, the OLAP is the data warehousing systems are using this OLAP. These are online analytical processing systems in which the queries are often the complex queries and they involves summarization, aggregation, etc. So any OLAP system manages large amounts of historic data because we have to make repository of the data that may be for the last 10 years, 20 years, that's archive data depending upon the need. So we have to say the OLAP system manage a big amount of data that might be in a gig terabyte and so and so. So provide facility for summarization and aggregation, and we have to observe that analysis from different angles at different levels of granularity. If we could consider these two concepts, that's OLTP and OLAP, I just let you know that online transaction processing captures, stores, and process data from transactions that is in daily routine or in real time. So this is transaction-oriented applications, OLTP, whereas the OLAP is basically doing more analysis and more complex queries is uh, carried out, and those are carried out on your historic data. So operational data OLTP are the original source of data. If you are preparing some sort of data warehousing, then these operational data, that's with the OLTP systems, those are basically we have to get and store in the data warehouses. So data warehouse system is an OLTP system. So queries are often complex as compared to OLTP. It consolidates the data, it analyzes the data, and the various tools are available to do analysis on the data that is stored with the data warehouse. So this is a simple, if you compare the OLTP and with the data warehousing systems, just I have to let you know that OLTP holds current data, store detailed data. The data is dynamic, repetitive processing, high level of transaction throughput, predictable patterns of uses, but it is only when it is dynamic. And for the current, you can say what are the patterns of its use. So OLTP systems are transaction driven and application oriented. Different applications running, let's suppose with the banking, there might be different applications are running for the loan, for the daily transactions, the balance, etc., and support daily decisions. So within those OLTP system, that data is available that will help the managers to do some sort of decisions that in the routine that is more, much you can say the structured decisions. So serves a large number of clerical operational users. So these are the user of this one. Whereas the data warehousing system that is regarding the OLAP, it holds historical data. Historical data means archive data. Might be the 2 days data is, you say the current data might be after 1 day, 2 days, that also archive data. So it stores details and highly summarized data. data is largely static. Largely static means that the data with the data warehousing, we did not update it in routine. So, however, we have updating the data in OLTP. So that is for that how unstructured heuristic processing the data is available with you. Unpredictable patterns of uses. Uh, with the OLTP, your use of patterns are basically you know a bit about that because those are in the daily routine tasks. With the data warehousing, this is unpredictable. And this is analysis driven, whereas the OLTP are basically transaction driven. You say this is application oriented OLTP for every application in your OLT systems. But this system, those are basically data warehousing, those are subject oriented. That will about a single subject. For example, that's about customers. Maybe you say that you have to collect the data for the persons those are dealing are doing some murder and so they are addicted to, and you are collecting that as those accused persons, and then you have to see the patterns and so and so. So the OLAP system will help you for strategic decision making. So it is serve the managerial persons, and they are using this one. So a simple architecture of the data warehouse is given. The source is from Wikipedia. You have to see on the left side that these are data sources. These are operational systems that might be from one organization, and that may be, if you're getting the external data, that may be you may get from other organizations also. And these are the operational systems. Those are working there, OLTP, and their archive data we have to collect. And this data that we are collecting, that might be in different formats, and because we are getting those from heterogeneous uh, sources. For example, some of the, if you took that most of the persons are, let's suppose, using RDBMS, some are using Oracle, some are using MySQL, some are using SQL Server, some are using DB, and so and so. So the data format within those may also be inconsistent. So those heterogeneous data, we have to clean that properly, and after that process, we have to the data warehouse. We're putting in the data warehouse, and within the data warehouse, we also maintain the metadata. That is basically data about data, and this data is basically in aggregation form, in consolidated form, and the dimensional tables are basically developed in the data warehousing. And further, we have to say that each part, one of the part of the data warehouse, we say that is the data marts. The data marts for a single office, you can say data mart for this is purchasing system. Yeah, this is a purchasing department. This they have their own data mart, and the sale department has own their data mart. That may inventory, that's another uh, department. He is dealing with the inventory control system, and they have also a data mart. So you can say this is a subset of basically your data warehouse, because you say that these users, they are needing data from the purchase, so they should be more efficient for the users, and its performance may be better because it is data is restricted only for the purchasing. So just you have to say from the data sources, we have to collect the data, then we have to clean that data. That's called cleansing. And after that, we say it's put into data warehouse. If you say the what does mean ETL, you have accepted the data, then you have transformed the data. And then again, then you have to load the data, and that is within this flow. And the users are using those, and they're using different tools in order to analyze the data, and further they have to make some sort of decisions. So that this is the data mining also getting the data from the data warehousings for their analysis. So this is a bit more comprehensive architecture that's given by the Beck. He say this is all the operational data like what we have seen the previously. Yeah, and this is some of the, you say that where house managers, and this is query manager. So these are the basically part of the software that are dealing with this one. And the flow within this data is in the inflow, extract, clean, and load to source of data. In the very beginning, with this was the E, that's the ETL, and this is the inflow. This is the inflow. We are getting the data from different sources, and those sources will have some sort of operational databases. You say OLTP systems are there, and from there we're getting this one data. Then we have to upflow, adding value to the data in the warehousing through summarizing. Here, when we have to put the data, we likely to put the data in a summarized way. So this is one of the stage where the data is basically manipulated, and after that it should be loaded into the data warehouse. So download, flow, archiving, and backup data in a warehouse. The downloading means that downflow, that data should also be backup for the data warehousing. They have some sort of backup of the data. Further, this is the outflow, making the data available to the end users. You have to distribute the data to the users, and the user may access the data according to their needs. And the last one is metaflow, managing the metadata, because this is data about data, and that should also be managed. So within that, these are the flows within this architecture. And here at the end, you have to say that requiring your queries and so and so. This query manager helps you to do some sort of complex queries with the data warehouse. Those maximum tools are available nowadays. They can help you to retrieve the data, access the data. So further, if we consider this data warehousing, so it is the process of developing and using data warehouse. We already consider what does mean a data warehouse. Now we say what is the process of that. And that data warehousing, it means when we're doing your extract, clean, and transform data integration, consolidation, aggregation, etc. At this moment, we are going to some sort of process, and that process basically data warehousing. So data cleansing is the essential part of that, because the data from the heterogeneous sources that we are getting, that may not be in a single format. They might be available in different formats. So we have to clean that. Might be there is a data that is a dirty data, or the data that have some sort of null values with it, because that is the archive data. You can't change it now, but you have to say which data you likely you say this is applicable and this is usable. So we have to transform it in order to load to the data warehouse. So the basic concept that I was talking about, the data warehousing, their concept is very much related, and we say they are subject oriented. And data warehouse is the four aspect. Those are given by Inman, and sometimes they say he is the father of the data warehousing. So I will discuss one of each with you, and what does mean subject oriented, integrated, time varying, and non-volatile. So collection of data that is used primarily in organizational decision making. So the one thing that is subject oriented, it means that the data is organized by entity rather than the application that uses the data. For example, you say that my data is that application programs, and they need some sort of data, and that application programs are dealing with the inventory control, let's suppose. But that's not the data that is application oriented. The subject mean that the data should be about a single subject. That may be about customers, let's suppose. That may be about students, let's suppose. Yeah, there should be a single subject about which we have to deal with the data. Organized by subject, that is the customers, product, students, so and so. If you like to say that we have a data of the students, and we have to collect the data from different sources about the students for the last 10-20 years, and we say what are their priorities to take admission, which subjects they love more, and what areas they are usually for the last 10 or 20 years they say they are choosing at priority level. So in that manner you can say the student is a subject. So it is rather than the application area, this invoicing and stock control, etc. They are dealing with the subjects. Data from these operational data system is loaded into a data warehouse and transformed into subjects. So we have to collect the data, then we have to make it in terms of the subject, and then we have to then load into the data warehouse. Integrated means the data is stored in one place in a data warehouse. Though the data is originated from different OLTP systems, so that may be from the organization and might be from external sources. We also collect the data. So we say we are making a single and integrated repository there. So the data is on one place that's integrated. The third is time varying. Data is only accurate and valid for some point in time and over some time interval. So we have to collect the data. Like say I'm saying that the data should be collected for the last 5 years. So there will be some sort of a time span, time interval. Data warehouse also retain historical data for longer periods of time. So that is summarizable, and we have to specify the time for that as time varying. And furthermore, what I have to say that the data of the data warehousing are not changing in daily routine. Yeah, that's non-volatile. Non-volatile means that the data is read-only because the data is archived data, and if there is some say errors there, that should be dealt prior to loading the data in the data warehouses. There are some techniques in order to we have to save. There are null values. Either we have to remove that records or we have to fill that value. And there are different techniques are given how we can replace those null values. So data is added to the data warehouse, but not is edited. So you say this is a non-volatile. This is the four aspect that's very important for the data warehouse. So a bit about how this ETL process is carried out. So in the very beginning, you have data sources, the different sources. From there, you have to accept the data, and after that, you have to transform it. And this transformation is done that the data should be in format that should be consistent. It not should be inconsistent format. For example, we have collected the data about the students, and some of the universities they are dealing with the date of birth, and they have included it as a column date of birth. Another has included a column as age. So the format of age and date of birth are different. So why not we have to calculate date of birth from the age, then we have to say this column should be consistent. Now we have said that all the column that we deal with, that's the date of birth, not for the age. Furthermore, that you can say some of the say the name of the column is name of student, others say the student name, and one say the name of student may be 20 characters, others say the name of student may be 40 characters. So there are some things that are different from each other. So prior to loading the data in the data warehouse, you have to transform the data. That such things those are different from each other because we collect the data from heterogeneous resources, so they should be streamlined properly. This is the same a pictorial form of this one. It is the operational data from different sources. Now you have to extract it. After extracting, you are transformed it. You are filtering that what records are needed, what you say these records are not valuable for us because their data is incomplete. We have to transform that data. We have to integrate that. We have to classify, aggregate, summarize. This stage is basically you have to prior to loading the data into data warehouse. This is some sort of at intermediate stage you are doing that, or you say this is a transformation. And for every data warehouse to be developed in the very beginning, we have to collect the data from different resources, then transform it. And after that, it should be loaded. And when it is loaded, this four aspect should be considered. The data is integrated, subject oriented, time variant, and non-volatile. Further, the ELT process has been detailed here. That's at the outset, determine all the target data needed in the data warehouse. You have to plan in the very beginning which data is needed and which are the common sources from where you can collect the data. Then determine all the data sources, both internal and external. In the very beginning, you have to say which data is needed, yeah, and from which resources you have to collect. Either it's internal sources of organization or external. Then data mapping, target data. So you have to say from these sources we have to extract the data, and these data elements you have to prepare for that map, because what is your target data. For that we have to map what we are getting from these resources. So establish comprehensive data extract rules. Which data is should be extracted, which should be denied. You have some rules for that in the very beginning. Determine that data transformation. Then you have to transform the data. After transformation, you have to plan what aggregate tables you like to say, what should be the dimension of the tables. This table dimensionality is basically discussed with the data warehousing when we are preparing that. So organize the data staging area. Staging area means the area that is basically when you are doing some sort of transformation and when doing preparation for the data to be loaded. So write procedure for all data load, how the data should be loaded. And at the end, we have dimension tables, yeah, and we also have fact tables. These are the concept; those are used with the table. Those we likely to build with the data warehousing, and there are different schemas like star schema, snowflake schema. Those schemas are used, and they give the concept of what does mean fact tables and dimension tables. Okay. So, for example, if you have a date of birth and date of birth, you say their date is one of the dimension and so and so. So this is a detailed aspect of extraction. The desired data is identified and extracted from the data sources, either internal or external. But the data sources basically include OLTP databases. The data is collected from the transaction processing systems. So further, personal databases, ERP files, flat files, web users files, etc. These might be the sources from where we have to extract the data. So databases may be relational, non-relational, but when we have to transform the data, we have to transform in a way that should be usable prior to loading the data to the data warehouse. Sources may be of different format and structure. So when we uh, prior to loading the data, we have to consider these things and know the data should be in a single format and the structure should be also be the same. The data that we are transforming, and then it should be loaded to the data warehouse. So the extraction may be full extraction and partial extraction. It depends upon whether all the data is extracted, yeah, the part of the data is extracted from those resources. It depends upon the need that you're likely to develop here. Are the resources those are available with us, because the data warehousing need maximum resources to be developed. This is financial sources maximum also needed because it needs too much money to develop data warehouses. So second was the transformation. Data extracted from the source system is not usable in the original form, so it need to be cleansed. One of the processes cleansing, mean removing inconsistencies, invalid data with errors. So sometimes you see that the date of birth is written wrong, and for the some records, or the date is the is also a column which have values or null values or different values. Those are beyond limits and so on. So you say these are the errors within the data. So that should be removed prior to loading it. So that is done within the process of transformation. So this transformation is carried out in the staging area. Staging area is intermediate store space. Temporary, you have to access the data there, and then you have to transform that and prepare that for loading. The data that does not require any transformation is called direct move. If we say the data is good and it may be moved to the to be loaded to the data warehouse, you can say this is the direct move. The last step is loading. The last step, they say ELT process, transform data is finally loaded into the data warehouse. So different tools are used to load the data in the data warehouse because this is a huge volume of data, and relatively short period needs that load processing may be optimized. To say for the data loading that you have to consume some sort of time, so it should be optimized. The common tools such as Oracle Warehouse Builder, Yoclo VTL, Smart Logic, Sybase. There are different tools. Are basically those are used in order to load the data to the data warehouses. So the loading of the data within the data warehouse might be full or initial load. It may be incremental load and it may be refresh load. So the three things, if it is the process of loading completely the accepted and transformed data, that is usually the full load. Incremental load, it is a process in which the transformed data to be loaded is first compared with the data in the final destination and only new data is loaded. That is, you have to process in a way, if we load the data, either this data is already available within the destination. If available, no, then we have to only load the data, there's new data basically. Refresh load, it is a process of updating the data in the final destination to reflect changes that have been made in the original data source, if any. If we have made some changes in the original data, then we have to reload it. So this process can be either full or incremental. So in this way, you can use the different tools available in order to load the data to the warehouse. So regarding this CTL process, this is huge data you have to transform, that it is time consuming and it may cost also a lot. So it needs also maximum computational resources. So it is advised that you have to migrate only the data that is essentially needed, rather than you have to accept the data and then you have to transform that, and that is basically useless, and that's also residing with the data warehouse. So there are applications of these data warehouse. One is information processing, there is analytical processing and data mining. These are the common applications with the data warehousing. So with the information processing, what you have to do, you have to do queries. You do some sort of analysis, statistical analysis. You get the reports that might be in the form of the tables, graph, and so and so. We just say that it is the processing of the data in terms of information. That's information processing. The second is analytical processing, because the OLAP operation, those are within, you have to see the data from different angles. That's called slice and dice, drill down, roll up, and pivoting. These are the basically aspect that we have to say in the analytical processing, because you can, because the data within the data warehousing are three-dimensional, four-dimensional. Let's suppose from every dimension we likely to observe the data and analyze the data. So generally we have to use such concepts on historical data basically, and then we have to get the results. Further, the data mining is the big application of that, and that basically is called the knowledge discovery. That may help to find the patterns within the previous data, that the archive data, and the association between different values and whether they are associated with each other. And we say also there with the data mining, you have to do some classification, prediction. Say, so these are the basically applications. Those are being run with the help of the data warehousing, but these are the data mining techniques that you are using on the data for prediction or for time series are also used for the prediction. So classification, even we do something that's called clustering. Those are basically used. So commonly, what are the benefits of this one? So one say that whenever to collect the historical data, then you have to say how that data was there and what was the pattern there, and we have to get the insight what was happening in the last years regarding. We have to analyze the data. So enhances quality of data because the data we are collecting that we transformed in it properly, and that the data that was errorful at that moment we have removed that. So some say that the returns is 40% to 90% within 2 to 3 years if any organization is developing data warehousing. They are using within 2 to 3 years the return on investment ROI will 40 to 90% they are saying. So within the data warehousing, if you accept the patterns of that, and within that you can have some sort of competitive edge on the other organizations because you are making some sort of decision on the analysis on the patterns. Those are the for the last previous years, and these are the, let's suppose you are using some mobile phones, and the mobile companies they likely to have some data warehousing and say what are the patterns for the last 10 years of the customers, how they are making their calls and where they are. So in that manner they can get the competitive edge for that. So they are doing data mining also, boost efficiency of the organizations and the data security because we have archive data available with us. So increase productivity of decision makers. So these are the basically the benefits. Those are claimed that the data warehousing that is developed and implemented there. So such benefits may be on behalf of organizations. So there are some problems with the data warehousing when underestimation of resources for data loading. One thing is when you have to transform and then to load the data, and that should not be underestimated. So it needs resources. So hidden problems with source systems that we have said that heterogeneous data might be some of the values are not available at that moment, or now with the archive data we can't change that. So the data may be uh, have some sort of errors, and so some hidden problems are there. So further required data not captured because we have to extract the data from OLTP system. It might happen that mostly required data you are not available at, or that not available uh, uh, within this. If that is not available within the OLTP, so how can you put that into your data warehouse? So or the required data has slipped sometimes. So it is increased end user demands when the user they are using data warehousing and they're using some tools for their analysis and so and so. They are a bit inspired and their expectations are increasing. They are more demanding. So further data homogenization, I say the data from heterogeneous your resources. So from those sources that may be of different formats, and different OLTP systems are using that. So there might be some sort of problem for it. So high demand for resources. It needs high resources to be built a data warehouse. Data ownership, because the data is available with the single repository, and we have collected that data from different resources, for example, for different departments, and within those different departments, some of the data was classified at that moment. But now it is available to the user because now the single repository, different users are using those. So the maintenance cost is high of this one. So this is long duration project. So because the data warehouse is further the maintenance, they need also updation. So this is a big projects. So these are the some common problems that when you develop a data warehouse, you may face those. Now I will share with you what does mean a data mart. Basically, data mart is a subset of data warehouse, because might be the only, you say, the part of the data warehouse data that would be available to the users, and that may be standalone and may be linked with the corporate data warehouse. So data mart focuses only the requirements of user associated with one department. For example, from the data warehouse, the one department that is dealing with the inventory control, they are looking for the data should be, why not the data mart should be offered to them, and that part of the data basically from the data warehouse that is accessible to them, or either that may also be developed independently. So data marts do not normally contain detailed operation data, unlike data warehouse. So data marts can serve a test vehicle for companies exploring the potential benefits of data. Some companies may do that in the very beginning. They look for why not the data mart should be implemented and they should be developed. And after that, if they are getting benefits of that, then may it to be extended in towards the data warehouse. So data marts may be independent, that may be dependent. So independent data marts are sourced from the data captured from one or more operational systems. Basically, they have been developed independently, because like warehouse, we are collecting the data from many sources, but here you have to collect the data from a single department, because it is a bit on a small scale. So data may be generated locally, but sometimes we may get the data from other sources also. So dependent data marts are sourced directly from the enterprise data. And if you say dependent data mart, so the data warehouse is there, and the part of the data from the data warehouse is basically used within the data mart. We say these are dependent data mart. So there are different reasons why we have to create a data mart. So give user access to the data they need, analyze, and most often. Because which data is mostly needed by a single department, that should be in the form of the data mart, that the performance should be good, and access of the user to the needed data is more good, to provide data in the format that matches the collective view of the data by group or user department. That's according to the need of that department. So it also improve the response time for the users, because the data within the data marts is in less volume as compared to the data warehouses. So data marts normally use less data and take such data cleansing, loading. For that, we need less resources as compared to your data warehouses. The cost of implementing data marts is normally less as compared to data warehousing. The volume of the data is less, and that is very much related to single department. So the users may have good response time as compared to if they have to query the data from the data warehouse. There are also some issues with the data mart functionality, because that is functionality now as compared to the data warehouse. It's a less functionality available with the data mart. Its size is low, but you say less information but restricted to one department. So data mart load performance issues, user access to data in multiple data marts. So sometimes we have more than one data marts. So data mart, internet and internet access, data mart administration, installation. In all aspect these areas, there are some issues are associated with that. So usually data mart is also popular because it needs less resources to be developed and further with have some sort of, you can say, in the very beginning the organizations use this data mart and say what should be the output from those in terms of return, and if they say these are the good return for that, then they may extend that. So furthermore, uh, they can provide the facilities to different departments if we consider that different data marts are available within that. So this is regarding the data mart. So in summary, we discussed today what does mean data warehouse and what does mean data warehousing, what is the processing that we have to carry out prior to when we have to load the data to the data warehouse. That is very much related to extraction, transformation, and loading. Further, we briefly discuss that what should be the architecture of the data warehouse. In the very beginning, we have to get the data from the OLTP systems, whereas data warehousing is OLAP system, analytical processing. In that, we have to analyze the data, we have to summarize, aggregate, and the data is dimensional tables, fact table that uh, not only single three-dimensional, four-dimensional data is there, and we can do queries and we can observe the data from different facets. Yeah, you have the facility to roll up, roll down, and drill down the things. So we also discussed about the data mart, and those might be the subset of the data warehouse. Those may be independent, those may be dependent. Although when you are developing these data warehousing, you have some sort of issues, and those may be with the data marts, those may be with the data warehousing regarding the data itself and regarding other resources those are needed. So although the organizations are getting benefit of that, and they claim that when they have created some sort of environment for the data warehousing, they are getting benefit of that. They have some competitive edge on other organizations, because in this way you are analyzing the data with the previous years available. So we have to see the patterns, and we have to depict about your future aspects, that is your prediction about something and association and so and so. So the data mining is the big application of the data warehousing. So this is all that we have discussed about the basic concept of. I haven't discussed how it should be implemented and what the structure of the tables with that, and what the schemas of that, and when I were to design a data warehouse. Just I discussed with you the simple basic concept of data warehousing. Okay, thank you.